So Notre Dame, just big matchup. What are you guys thinking coming into a big game like this and starting a big stretch of games going down the rest of the season here?
This is what we play for, right? It's to play the best of the best, and that's the way we finished the season. 4 games, getting through Virginia, and now on to wonderful two-time defending champ Notre Dame, and on to number 1 Cornell. Like it's what it's all about, and it hopefully we execute, we play well, we get some wins, and it sets us up for a playoff run. So, I think it's working out pretty well, the
What's the
schedule.
prep like for a team like this, Gary? It's like a statistical dead heat between you two in a lot of different categories. Do you focus on something in particular?
Well, stats are stats. It's just, just like the last couple games, the big games we've won, it's just a matter of making plays. We put ourselves in the position, got to get some stops and got to score some goals, and our guys have stepped up and done that under pressure. The big games that we've had, and it's been great. Obviously we didn't get it done. When I look back at the Maryland game, we go into that second half and we did not play well. We didn't make the plays, and that was the difference in that game. So our guys are in a good spot. Both teams are, like you said, statistically pretty even. And, now it's a chance to get out there in the dome and do what we do, and that's play lacrosse, have fun, and hopefully put ourselves in a position to make some plays.
I want to go back to last week when you were thinking before the game about putting Peyton Anderson, and just take me through that process. And was it just simply you saw a matchup that you liked there, or what went into putting him in the lineup?
Well, I think he's a different. We got exactly out of him what we thought we would. 2 goals dodging his matchup. And I think that's something that, we needed a little extra of that, we thought, and we got it. He's big, he's strong, he's fast. He, scored the difference, 2 goals, 2 big goals on his own by especially the one at the end of the quarter, diving with a second left to put, that was awesome. Just ran right through his guy. Obviously on transition, so there's no backup, and he's got that speed and size to be able to do that against anybody.
Coach, you talked about looking back at that second half against Maryland. How have you seen this team evolve throughout the course of the season, especially when it gets to crunch time?
Well, I think you've seen the defense get better. Certainly at times much better. We still have lapses, but I think we've reduced the number of lapses we've had, and we've been pretty consistent. Offensively, we keep having to utilize more players. We got guys out and guys in, and we've had a few guys get opportunities, and I think they just really have a good understanding of the way we can play and the way how to execute what we're putting in front of them. So I just hope they continue to do it against the best of the best.
When you look at this Notre Dame team, what's different about them as opposed to what you've seen from them last year or the year before?
Well, they were just, they're not quite as aggressive on the attack on the ride, first of all. Like they scored so many goals that way. So, just from watching film, it's not quite the same energy as they've had on their rides, but and the same chemistry, it's not quite there, but they're a very good team, and they can play with anybody.
Coach,
but they're just not as dominant as they were yet.
What's been the game plan throughout the week to deal with Notre Dame's midfield?
It's just team defense. That's all it is. We all have. We just got to be ready to help, get there early, and make sure we can slide and recover.
And then to follow up on that, what's just been the vibe throughout the room with the players? Haven't beaten Notre Dame since 2018. Supposed to be, if not the biggest.
I don't think they're thinking about that. I know I really haven't, because I think we've played them tough the last couple times we've played them, and I think we're close. So I think we know we've been close to them, and. So we think the opportunity's there, and why not this year? So we're not really dwelling on the past at all.
Gary, John got a few penalties there in the first period. When you look back at the film, was there a trend there that was giving the ref the opportunity to call that? Is it just the ref's discretion, something you got to look out for? Or just,
You know what? Sometimes they see what they see, and it doesn't go your way. You know, I think, you know, there was calls that could have gone our way that didn't, and that's just the way it goes sometimes, and that's life, and you deal with it. And it doesn't make us happy, I can tell you that, but you know, we let the refs know what we thought, and, you know, got a different crew of refs this time. Hopefully we get, you know, a lot of games we play, you know, whether close or not, you know, I love when the game comes out and you don't even talk about the refs. You know, that's the way games should go with refereeing. Either they call everything, or they don't call anything, or they find a place in the middle, and they're consistent. So, you know, hopefully we have a group of refs this weekend that can do that.
Coach, with O'Dearna headed to the pros, what do you have to say about how he has impacted Syracuse in his time?
Oh, he's been awesome. You know, he's improved our defense dramatically, and you know, some of the things he's been able to do, you know, like I think that's the fewest goals Virginia scored against us at Virginia since 1936. So things like that. Like there's always fun facts with Coach O that you get these fun details. Like, oh, really? That's the fewest goals since 1970, whatever. You know, like so he's well aware of you know what teams have done to us in the past, and this is certainly one of them. So I know he's chomping at the bit to try and knock down the numbers to who knows what year and give us a chance to win.
Two more questions. What can you say about Sam English and all the responsibilities he has for your team, all he does for your team? What can you say about that?
You know what? You know, he was a Virginia killer. You know, he really was. You know, tying goal, assisted on the winning goal. You know, and took the shot that gave up the rebound on the insurance goal. So, you know, he does everything for us. He's been playing really well lately. And I hope he has his best game on Saturday.
Would you hazard a guess how many minutes he plays per game or how much he's out there?
I know compared to everybody else, because we all wear GPS, so his workload is way higher than everybody. It's not even close. Like he gets up and down the field. He's all over. You know, he goes at his max speed a lot or close to it. So his workload's definitely the highest every game. We don't know the opponent's workloads, but I bet you he's the guy working the hardest on the entire field.
How much ground does he cover? Do you remember?
I don't. You'd have to ask I've been told, but I don't know what it means half the time. I look at comparisons, and he says, "Oh, that's a good number. That's more than he's ever done." You know, I get numbers like that. I don't get official like, "Oh, this is the benchmark. This is where we." So those are for guys that have passion on the numbers of how hard they run and how far and how fast. So.